From the real estate, interior design, and design and build experts at the Penzo Group comes a podcast that covers all things home. For our team, a home is so much more than the sum of its four walls. It goes beyond. A home is our sanctuary, a place to create memories, build routines, and shape our futures. Through a series of captivating conversations with guests who are industry experts in their fields, we discuss their lives, passions, and their most personal and intimate spaces, their homes. Welcome to Beyond Four Walls, where we explore the soul of living spaces and celebrate the essence of what makes a house a true home. Amy, welcome. So on today's episode of Beyond Four Walls, we have Amy Burstyn Fritz. For most of the viewers, I'm sure she doesn't need an introduction, but just to give you a background on Amy, Amy is the co-founder of Burstyn Inc, an award-winning PR and event management company that she co-founded with her mother, Helen. And they have amazing top-tier clients across the country and run some of the biggest events across the country. Most recently, Amy co-founded with her sister, Misette, which is a luxury tableware line. My mom, Debbie, and I are huge fans of the brand. It's just, everything is so gorgeous. It's carried at Essence, Saks, Nordstrom, and I'm sure others that you'll fill us in on. I was also reading recently that you were named as one of Toronto's new socialites by Toronto Life, by Shanann Giovanni. And what I loved about it is you were featured in the fundraising category, which with everything that you already have going on, I'm just so amazed that you're always focused on doing better for the city and really elevating Toronto's arts and culture scene. So
yeah, it was very nice of him to do that. But I do always like to get involved and give back.
Yeah, and it mentioned that you were involved in Bibliobash and you co-chaired the
Writers' Trust.
The Writers' Trust.
Yeah, which are both literary events, which I'm passionate about all the arts in general, but I've been very involved in the visual arts, anything with literary. I really like to get involved in those sorts of areas.
And that kind of makes sense, I think, because, you were already so busy before you co-founded Misette. Like, you just have such a busy lifestyle and you're so passionate about everything you do. And I've always found you so stylish and creative. So I really want to find out what was the reason behind launching Misette and timing and, launching it with your sister.
Well, I've been doing events for a very long time with Burstyn Inc. and, through my volunteer work and all of that kind of stuff. And then my sister, she's in New York. She actually is the head of events for the Met. And so she's also been doing events for a very long time. She's been there for about 10 years now. And it was actually a COVID baby. So during COVID,
like so many other creative businesses,
so many other amazing businesses.
Yeah.
I think COVID really highlighted certain, restructured how we did things and highlighted certain needs. And, like many, we and a lot of our friends were kind of turning inward to the home and really looking at elevating those sort of everyday experiences, not just for these like large scale events that we're both very, versed in producing, but just in sort of the everyday. And it could be a, nice curated dinner party, but it was also just sort of, having breakfast with your kids. It was also, just creating more of those special moments in an everyday setting.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And as we kind of just talked about, we've been both very involved in the arts. Our family's been very involved in the arts. And I think having that sort of experience, not just on your walls, but on your table and as part of an experiential sort of moment was really important to us. And we kind of started Misette May 2021, heart of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it kind of just took, it really resonated with people. We launched it with a big story in Vogue, which was amazing.
Not to mention, I think it was Katie Couric that
set her Thanksgiving table. I think that was the following year, but it's really great. I love, I'm very involved in the arts. I'm an old school fashion gal. Yeah. I love fashion.
we actually
We
met
at
interning at Fashion
Yes,
Magazine.
Exactly. So we met working for Canada's largest fashion publication. And honestly, there's, the art side. There's also a bit of a fashion side. Sarah and I work with our designer who does, hand paints all of our designs from scratch, actually is an old school fashion gal as well, Leslie Hamilton. She worked...
Is she Toronto based?
No, New York.
New York?
My
Okay.
sister and our company is based in New York.
Okay.
But I'm here.
And then the product is actually fabricated in Portugal, or is it?
Oh, it's fabricated a little bit of everywhere.
Okay.
We've tried to streamline it, but we make, and I think that's one of the, things that are sort of unique about us is that we do full table. So we everything's designed as a full tabletop, and you can mix and match between, but it's not matchy-matchy, but really, producing linens, glassware, flatware, the whole dishware.
That's what I love about it
Is
so
a little
much.
bit,
Yeah.
You can't really. We've tried to streamline it a little bit more, but it's kind of we do our linens in India, we do our dishware and our flatware in Portugal. We do our glassware, some in the U.S., some in Poland, but really we kind of start with design and technique, and then we find the manufacturers that do it best. But we're constantly trying to streamline these processes. We actually tried to find the right glassware producer in Portugal just so we could, streamline production and logistics, which is always just crazy.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to fine tune, but we're really focused on where do they do what we design and what we sort of envision for the table best, and then working with the best possible manufacturers to make sure that, we're bringing that to people's tables.
Well, you've done such a beautiful job with it. I mean, personally, what I love is although I want my full table scape to be my set, I find you can pair it with your Hermes dishware, but also a more simple, maybe Brian Gluckstein, just everyday dinnerware. So I think when you talked about really time and luxury and, time being the last luxury, and we all felt that during COVID and home being so important, just spending time around the table is such an important thing. And I read something about your grandmother being influential into the founding of it as well.
Yeah. So she was a, really big tableware collector. She came to Canada, actually from Poland, where we produce our glassware.
Okay, that's really special.
Yeah, after the war, and they had nothing, but she loved tableware and she collected that. And her biggest compliment to someone was "Oh, she produced she made such a beautiful table." Yeah. But passing down those, collectibles was really important to her and to our family. And they used to, my parents used to take us on trips, in Morocco and, Italy, and we'd watch glass blowing. And I remember actually when we were younger, sitting in a Murano factory for 3 hours watching the glass blowing. And at the time, obviously I was 14. It was super boring. We played Murano Price is Right and just tried to pass the time while my parents were look at all the glass. But it was a really great learning for us. We understood the quality and craftsmanship and how things are made. And, my mom, her whole thing was you pass down art, jewelry, and tableware. So she actually has the most impressive collection of tableware that she wanted to pass down to her
I think
children.
it's such a nostalgic part of home, and I just inherited my Nona's beautiful tableware, and it's so special to me. And I mix it with my set pieces, and it just makes you feel really special when you sit around a dinner table with your children and special time as a family.
That used to be, my mom would assign us each a job. You're setting the cutlery, you're doing this. And so that was kind of part of the experience of dining together, was actually setting the table and which napkins are we going to use for this and so. And I think it's really about too, it doesn't all have to be super fancy. As you mentioned, we've designed the collections that it's a complete collections that you can do the whole thing my set. But we love being paired with a vintage, Hermes or Limoges or whatever it is, or just you have white dishes and, they're not, as distinctive, and you want to ramp them up with a napkin. And it kind of works both ways. We have, younger people who pair their more, basic dinnerware with something like a little splash of color. And then we have a lot of real tableware collectors that are like really excited about the brand. We really focus on quality. So like all of our linens are 100% linen, all of our dishware, it's all like really, really, we focus on the quality. And people who are like old school tableware people who know the difference between, all those like porcelain and ceramic or linen versus cotton, they really appreciate it. But we also have a really great, next gen audience that is just like loves the designs, is starting to collect and like getting into that, which is
I want to talk about color for a second, because I feel like in general Canadians, and I know you are in the US as well, are known as a little safer. They stick to more neutral palettes. And what's so amazing about your brand that I really felt like was missing in the marketplace is a lot of it is very colorful and very sophisticated. So tell me about, maybe in addition to talking about color, but like the design process, inspiration, how you approach the different collections of your brand.
Yeah. So I think, for us, we've actually had a lot of people being like, oh, you should do like white dishes. And you know what? For us, it's really about design and color. And I think we can pair well if you want a different design or style for a certain piece. We play really nice in the sandbox with all the, I love tableware. I have a real appreciation for anything that's well crafted. If it's Misette, if it's another brand, like I love just seeing how people set the table and kind of pair that together. And for us, color is a really important factor of like bringing in personality to a table. Our color block collection, which is the one with the colorful squiggles, is like, I call it like the little black dress of tableware because it goes with everything.
Literally everything.
Everything. Yes. Like it can go with modern, it can go with classic, there's literally not a collection or anything you own that it does not go with. The colors are actually a little bit muted. So they really, I call them like chameleon colors. So they translate really well to different pieces.
Spaces too.
And it's, it's like the kind of like jewelry on the little black dress in that way. So I always like to use fashion references because that's where...
Well, you are a fashionista at heart.
That's where my heart goes.
I love how we both went from fashion to home.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun.
It's a very similar... it was an editor of Elle Decor when we first did one of our interviews with him. He was actually, I'll credit him, he was like, you're like the jewelry on the black dress. So I actually use that reference quite a bit. And I kind of love that he said that. But yeah, color I think is important. And it's how you mix it together too. Like if you, let's say, used our whole color block collection and mix and match colors, which I do all the time and a lot of our clients do, it looks super colorful. But I have a lot of people who like have pretty monochrome homes and then will like splash in our green, which is like a pretty neutral green.
Yeah, green works anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Blue, same thing. So it's like...
And green is having such a moment.
Green is like the new blue. Yes. Blue and white was like everything tableware. And now it's like green's coming in there hot.
Same with furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime we like restock our green, it's gone. We've sold out of it 5 times this year. We just keep ordering more. It keeps selling.
Sounds like you're killing it. Like, I feel like for just something that was like started during COVID is like was it started as like I'm going all in?
No.
Like, or was it like, this is like, I'm passionate about this. Let's see how it goes.
No, it was like really a passion project. Okay. And my sister and I loved it. We're really into the design and the like aesthetic. And we just love doing all that kind of stuff. And it actually started, I was like, it's going to be like, Steve Jobs. We're going to do it in like my mom's garage. I literally outfitted my mom's garage. I got these like organizing like shelf people to come in. And I actually spent a ridiculous amount of money like setting up this garage and like setting up a storage room in her basement as like a warehouse. And then we launched and it was like not even a month in. And it was like so ridiculous that we had even thought we were going to like be a warehouse in my mom's garage basement. Anyways, so we moved to a proper
But this
warehouse.
Is the entrepreneurial hustle, Amy.
I know. I'm like, we're going to be like, we're launching. That's how I let her agree to like take her entire garage over for this. I'm like, we're going to be, in our founder's story, Mom, like, it's going to be in your garage. And she was like, all right, like, cool, outfit my garage. I like, she couldn't even park her car in there. I had like skids of plates from Portugal, like taking up the whole thing. Like, it was the most ridiculous idea I'd ever had.
Right?
Yeah.
So lessons
and
learned.
and then we had to, it was the whole nine. Anyways, quickly moved out of there. That was a ridiculous concept. And it just kind of went really fast. Like, we weren't set up, at first we were like, we're gonna, do just like DTC, direct to consumer, and focus on that. And then in our first 6 months, we actually had Nordstrom had just launched their flagship New York store and had launched they were opening a 6,000 square foot home space and asked us to basically be in there.
And is there home
space
space on one floor, or is it interspersed with? Okay,
no,
and it's
so
all
it's actually
home.
a separate entrance. You can get to it through the department store, but it's a separate entrance, and it's a double floor, 6,000 square foot home space in New York. And that was 6 months in, and we basically had to like figure out a lot to accommodate that. Anyways, it was honestly the perfect thing for us because we had set it up so like we were just like, it was like this cute pet project that we thought was going to be amazing. And then we like really quickly had to restructure it. And it was kind of that, amazing catalyst for us to be like, all right, we've got to be Nordstrom ready, which essentially made us every retailer ready and allowed us to really quickly expand into
once you're in Nordstrom, you have like...
It was great. And they found us, like, nowadays it's crazy. They found us on Instagram. Like,
wow, the power of social media.
And actually, really, the next month, we also, we connected with Moda Operandi. Lauren Santo Domingo also found us on Instagram.
LSD.
Yeah.
She can do no wrong.
She can do no wrong.
Yeah,
she has flawless taste.
Yes.
And we did a collab collection with them, which was like, as a fashion girl,
I was all over that
dream.
site.
I'm the biggest LSD follower of all time. And it happened really quickly, but what was great was it was so early in our, launch that it allowed us to quickly restructure before we were even that far down the road. So it wasn't like we just had to do it really fast and figure it out. And now we're just really well set up.
And what markets in the US are you in? So I know you're in New York. Are there any other state?
Yeah. So we just started doing, again, we're newer to the, product game. I
think you would do Southern so well. All those Southern girls love color.
Yeah. So we just started doing trade shows, which... Again, I'm in my naivete. I didn't realize it's a whole world. So we did our first one in August. I just got back
and where was that?
In New York.
Was that High Point or?
The one in August was, we did Shop and then we did High Point. And then I just got back from New York last week, actually. We did that and we did Atlanta for the first time in January, which is a really cool market. And we're kind of learning, like we just started. And what's interesting about it is we kind of, we started just being like, oh, people just find you on Instagram. That's not how it works. So it was really cool doing trade shows because, like, honestly, our stuff, I think it shows well online. But when you can see and touch and feel it, like the difference between like a beautiful porcelain or 100% linen, when you can hold that in your hand and you actually see those designs, like our floral placemat, which look really great, in photos, but like each is like a linen patchwork. Like we finish the backs, we put like extra details in that like show that. When we show it in person, it always does so much better. And so for us to have the opportunity to actually like show people the collections and the pieces in person and like really have them see and touch and feel it has made such a difference. So we've really, in the last like couple months since doing trade shows, like have expanded our markets to like Dallas, Austin, Atlanta, North Carolina, South Carolina. Like we're really hitting, we were in Kansas, like, yeah.
And do you find a difference between the American customer and the Canadian? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, but also I find a difference between American customers in different markets, like Southern markets versus like New York versus
niche,
the Southerns, even in terms of what they, like New York is a little bit, but New York and, Toronto are a little bit more aligned, like the collections that they tend to go for, how they buy. Even when we did Atlanta to New York, the collections and the pieces that sold were actually quite different. So it's really interesting. Like for me, I love psych and I just love like what makes people tick and why people buy it. So I love like half of it is I just ask people questions. I'm like, feel this. What do you think of this?
Well,
like,
and you have a lot of customers that have homes in, different areas. Like, for example, my mom has a home in Florida, and what she buys for
totally
Florida is a little bit different than what she might use in Toronto.
For sure.
So I think that is to your benefit as well. The Misette customer maybe has different homes in different places.
And when they buy is quite interesting. So we've designed our collections, they're pretty seasonless. Like when we do a holiday collection, we'll use warmer tones, but really like people use it year round. And that's what tableware should be. Like it should be evergreen. And, how I sort of see it is like, you want to pass it down. Like you want it to like be forever pieces.
Absolutely.
And that's really what we specialize in. It's not, fast, what I call like fast fashion, because again, going back to a fashion analogy, but like we really kind of design those pieces that you want to invest in, that you could pass down through generations, that would be like something that was like buildable. And that's actually now how we design all of our collections is they're all their own unique collections, but they're actually buildable. So like we just launched spring, our Jardin collection last week, which has like been amazing. It actually matches color block, it matches floral, so people can mix and match, which is really great. So I have, people who have like a certain napkin and then we launch a new placemat and they buy the placemat. You and Debbie, by the way, would love the Jardin collection is the most you collection.
Okay, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
It's very...
okay, I want to talk about table etiquette. How, like, are there rules? Because I'm always like, I have a general idea, but I'm always like, does the fork, like, where does all the stuff go? So fill us in on your thoughts on table etiquette. And do you need to play by the rules?
Great question. So I was raised old school table style.
Okay.
That being said, I actually think part of the fun now is that like a lot of the table, I wouldn't say table etiquette in terms of behavior, but table etiquette in terms of how you set style and what you put together on the table is really open to more interpretation. So I think it's really about and actually that's where kind of the name comes from. So the name Misette, it's a mix, the artful base we talked about. It's actually a made up mix of mise en scène and vignettes. But we pronounce it Misette, like my set of tableware. So it's really about, you're setting the table in a way that works for you. If you only want to set a knife and a fork, you don't want to do a full 5-piece set. People now are actually like, there's so many different ways to do a napkin fold. I've seen a lot of my clients love to like put napkins in a glass now, which I think is so cool. And it's really about like making a table yours and showing your personality. So that's why we pronounce it Misette, is that it should be like when you're hosting people for dinner, and that's why I'm so like stickler on touch, feel, quality, and like 100% linen. I've had so many people being like, oh, if you went to like linen or cotton linen, you could reduce your costs and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, but the feel of linen and the feel of all that is so important. And really what's interesting is like, you're setting the table for other people and you're creating an experience for them. Where like one of your guests is like putting that napkin on their lap. Mm-hmm. It's like touching their skin and it's part of the experience you're actually creating for your guests, for your family. And it's something like, that tactile experience, that visual experience actually helps create the whole mood, the memories, which I think is really important. So back to your question of like the rules part, I think it's really, make sure you're servicing your guests in a way that's proper. They're not, it's not rude, but like in terms of how you set
comfortable
the table,
too, right? So it's not so like luxury, which your brand completely is, should also exude comfort. And I think you've done such a good job of that.
And I think like hardworking pieces is also kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Like instead of like being so formal where you necessarily need to have like I'm a huge fan of tumblers because tumblers you have our
Yes.
bubble
They're
tumblers,
so
which
fantastic.
is one of my favorite pieces.
My dad was just saying you could drop them and they don't break.
Yes.
And he is like, from Italy. Like,
yeah.
He appreciates that.
It's actually an Italian Pulagoso. I probably just butchered the pronunciation. Pulagoso style.
Okay.
I know. Something like, yes, it means bubbles. Anyways. But the tumbler is so fun to me because it's like you can put water in it. You can put wine in it. You can put whatever you want. I've actually used it for like shrimp cocktail. Like it's really, it's actually really cute.
That's so fun.
Yeah. So I think it's about really creating a space that your guests feel comfortable. They feel like you've put effort and thought into, their enjoyment, but you're not necessarily following rules for the sake of rules that it like in a way that it used to be. And I'm seeing people have a lot more fun with how they set the table and creating those like a little bit more personality behind it, which is, I think, amazing.
I wanted to ask, any thoughts in expanding to a new category? Like you're in the home space, but like, I don't know, I see like scent or like, have you guys thought of expansion at all in terms of the categories or?
You know what? I think right now for us, like if you actually look at brands, we're in so many categories on the table.
Okay, right. So you're in cutlery, glassware,
flatware, dishware, linens, candles, giftware, because we do all of our like vases and all of that, which is actually a lot of categories already. So I think we really just want to like focus on and hone the table. Definitely more like, areas of giftware that could, like we love the gift stuff because it kind of falls hand in hand with like, hosting. Actually our coasters, our linen coasters are always so like popular because people give them as hostess gifts in addition to, but I think we really want to like focus on just like curating tables first and foremost and just owning that category and being able to do that. Because we're already like manufacturing everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I also wanted to ask, dream dinner guest. You don't need to pick just one.
Oh my goodness.
I know this is such a tough question.
No, I feel like
dead or alive.
Dead or alive. Oh wow. Okay. I should have
And what would the table look like?
Oh. Okay. I mean, Jackie O would be probably, I'm like a Jackie O everything girl. 100%. She just was like iconic. Perfection with everything. I've actually read a lot of her entertaining at the White House. She was like just a consummate host and like.
So gracious.
So gracious. So cool. I really like Michelle Obama too. She's like, I like her because she's like such a host, but she's really laid back with the whole vibe of that. Honestly, I think somebody who would be like really interesting and just really worldly, but also just like an iconic entertainer and host because they just, I always say what I love about the tableware industry is like, you don't meet anyone who loves hosting dinners or setting the table who's not like such a nice, interesting, gracious person. So what's really fortunate about my industry is everyone's really like just fascinating and just
very curious, I think, right?
People. Like, I even within like other brands that, some people would say are competitive brands, like I actually have great relationships with those people and we love to just talk about like what everyone's doing. Like it's really collaborative in a way that I don't think all industries are. And I actually kind of credit it to the kind of people that love setting a table because they're all really interesting people who just love people and love to know, different stories and different dynamics.
It's about storytelling and
my mom was actually like the OG ultimate dinner host. Like I remember growing up.
Well, your recent 40th birthday party was
that was
quite something.
But I used to go, like, she'd be like, come over for family dinner. And I would show up with, my husband and kids. And it would be, I thought I was coming for like a normal Sunday night dinner. And there was like 20 people. It was like not even pretentious. It was just like the table was set. It wasn't like even that curated in the way of like, it was like, it wasn't all couples or stuff like that.
Name cards or do you let Like, what would your mom do? Like, would she
Helen
have
do?
a seating strategy?
Yes.
Or
So she would
I
have a
think
seating strategy.
is
I love name cards.
Yes.
I think that where you seat people and who you sit them next to is a make or break, because it can
100%.
if you sit two people next to each other who aren't that aligned. And actually, she used to do, like, when she would have dinner parties, she actually would make everyone get up and she would assign them and switch them between courses. So you don't end up stuck
fun.
at one end of the table in one conversation.
little like speed dating.
It's like speed dating for dinner
I
parties.
like that.
So she's this cute little soft spoken, but she'd say,
Sweetest.
everybody up. And then she would sit them around and she would sit different people next to different people. And like,
I love when people don't seat partners together either.
I
think
am
it's
a
just,
big
like,
fan of not seating partners. I mean, you spend enough time with your partner. You don't need to sit next
need
to
to
them
learn
at a
about
dinner
other
party.
people. Yeah.
It's great to learn about other people. And honestly, I would say from my mom's dinner parties or from my dinner parties, I have a lot of people who are really best friends now who have made a connection from sitting next to each other at the table, and maybe in a cocktail setting or in passing didn't realize something they had in common. It was just, I love the industry. I just think it's such a cool way. It's, at its core, it's aesthetic, but really fundamentally, it's about creating memories, creating connections, like seating people in a way that, they really come out of that experience feeling warm and good and full.
I love that. And I think you, as the founder, along with your sister, you guys really exude that yourselves. You're so warm. We've known each other almost 20 years now. And it's always fun and it's always interesting. And you just have so much drive and passion behind everything you do, and particularly this brand. So I'm like so proud of you. I think you're just doing a phenomenal job. And I'm so happy you could share your story with us.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I love everything you and Debbie and the whole Penzo
whole
Macintosh
fam
family
jam.
does. So, and as you know, I'm always down for a fam jam. So, thanks for having
Nice to
me.
work with family, right?
It's the best.
Yeah, it
It's
really is.
crazy and amazing, and like you can count on them in a way that it's just them so well. Yeah, I love it. So
Me too.